lots more of you here now than what there was last week. Welcome. I really didn't expect a video of me complaining about how hard life is and how I'm burnt out to reach so many other people on the internet who I'm going to assume are also burnt out and exhausted by life. So welcome. I'm Meekela, this is Meekela Reads. I live here. Are you done yelling? Will you yell if I keep you in here? Or will you be okay? Are we in an agreement? Can I sit you here? You can hang out on my bookshelves for a bit. So in the spirit of sharing my books that I have with other people on the internet who also appreciate books, we're going to do the aesthetically pleasing book tag today because I just want to share my beautiful books with you. They are beautiful and they deserve to be seen. The original video doesn't exist anymore on YouTube. I've seen a few other people do them. I think I've got all the questions right. We'll just roll with it. We'll see how we go. Why are you bouncing at me? Are you going to be able to sit with me for this video and not disrupt everyone? Okay, you're going on your stand. Caveats, I have multiple books for some of the questions because I just couldn't pick just one. There's too many good ones. Caveat 2, these are all my own personal opinions. We have different opinions, we have different lives, we have different experiences, we're going to see things differently. What I see as beautiful may not be beautiful to someone else. Caveat number 3 is that I have zero plan for trying to tackle this. I have a rough list and we're just gonna roll with it. So, question number 1 is book with the best colors. I am someone who loves colors. Cream of the crop. Best colors on a book that I have seen in recent years is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. But particularly this cover of the book because it is reflective. And it's holographic and it's beautiful. I love rainbows, I love the pastels, I love the wave. It is one of my favorite traditional painting patterns, motifs that exists in art. All round, I love every aspect, every portion of the cover, spine and back of this book, but the colors are just next level because it's a rainbow and I love the rainbows. On the same vein as this, we also have A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lim. The cover is 100% what drew me to it. This was a cover buy. I bought this book because of the cover. I know almost nothing about the story except that it's magical and it's about tea. I think what really gets me is the pinks. It's always the pinks and the purples and the blues when they blend together. Oh, perfect. Thirdly, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. This was another cover buy purely because of the colors and the beautiful, beautiful illustrations both on the front and on the back. I could go on because so many of the books I have sitting in front of me for this entire video are multicolored and have beautiful colors in them, but these are the 3 that I hand selected and purchased purely because of the aesthetically pleasing color scheme. Next. Question 2 is a book with the best typography. I really struggled with this one because I think when we're talking about typography when it comes to cover design and book design, all of the different fonts and all the different typography has its own place and they all have such beautiful cohesion with all of the other elements. So I found it really, really tough to pick out just the typography section for this. And so for that reason, I picked The Black Lung Captain by Chris Wooding purely for the Bleeding Cowboys font. Is it Bleeding Cowboys? It's really close to Bleeding Cowboys. You know that one font that you see everywhere? Kind of like this. I don't think this is exactly it, but this is what I love about it. This is the second book in a sci-fi series and I'm actually really devastated that I don't have the matching cover for the first book because I'm 90% sure that the first book also has the same font and the same typography in this version. Also the different sizes, also the different styles. I like them regardless. I think it's fine, but there's really something about this font I think that just screams I'm trying to be edgy, but I'm also a sci-fi book. Question 3 is the best simple cover. Now, I'm not one for simple covers. I'm not drawn to them as much as I am to a maximalist chaotic cover. The only book that I could find from recent memory that has like a simple cover that I like is Weasels in the Attic, which is very simple, very lovely, but just the minimalist cartoon-like cover I really, really like. And it's the most simple cover that I've liked that isn't like a contemporary romance that has other things. However, in preparing for this video, I also realized that I really just like the penguin covers as a simple cover because the spines all line up most of the time. They're uniform, they look nice on a shelf. It doesn't matter what genre they are or what they look like, they all look the same, and that's what I love. Have I read any of these? No, but they look good. I do plan on reading some of them. It's in the cards, it's on the books. It's about as simple as you get. You can't really get more simple than a classic penguin book. Question number 4 is a book with the best end pages. This one was tough because in Australia, hardback books aren't commonly found and also they're expensive. Like they're really expensive. Paperbacks are expensive here and hardbacks are even more expensive. So finding end pages was tough, but I found 2 that I like, that are cool. They're not like blow my socks off amazing, but they're still beautiful nonetheless. First we have John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed, and his end pages for this one are the thousands of tiny circles that he has drawn, and it links into the story. There's a whole section in the essays relating to these circles, and it's beautiful. I have so many feelings, so many emotions. This is the only collection of essays that I have read that I have enjoyed thus far. I have others on my shelves, they're ready to be read, but I think these end pages are beautiful because it relates to the content of the book and it relates to John Green's experience, and he explains that. But I also have this tiny copy of The Little Prince that I bought when I was in London. The whole thing is adorable, like front, back, sides, the embossing on the naked cover, but the end pages for this one are just so sweet. Look at them. They're little acorn branches with acorns and leaves. Beautiful, stunning. Question number 5, a book with the best map in it. I love fantasy. I love fantasy books. Fantasy books almost always come with maps. My honourable mention for this question alone is the map in The Priory of the Orange Tree, purely because of the fact that I refer to it so frequently when I'm reading this book because I don't know who's who and I don't know where they are, as we discussed last week. That's my honourable mention, that's not my answer. My answer for this is actually like, it's a bit of an odd one. This one I've picked not completely because of the aesthetics of it, but because of, I guess, the value of the book, but also just the simplicity of it. And it's the map that's in The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Particularly this one. It is probably the most expensive book I own because it is a first edition of The Silmarillion, and it comes with this like incredibly large map in the back of the book that I am terrified to open. Ta-da! Like I said, it's not the most beautiful map in existence. It's not the most intricate or detailed or fantastical, but it's so simple, and I think I really value it because it is the first map in the first edition of The Silmarillion. Not that I think the maps in these books changed that much as they were published, but still, it's a sentimental one. Question 6 is best naked hardback. I really could have used these books for every single question in this video, but it is my special editions of The Priory of the Orange Tree and A Day of Fallen Night. They are the broken binding ones. The reason I picked the broken binding ones over any of the other special editions that they had for these when they came out is purely because of the naked hardback. I really enjoyed the simple silver and gold embossing motifs. I love the text down the spine. Like, realistically, every part of these books is beautiful, and these books are kind of the reason I wanted to make this video, just so that I could continue to show them to you because I want to continue to look at them. But realistically, the reason that I bought these books specifically was for these naked hardbacks because they are the most beautiful hardbacks that I think I have seen in quite some time. Just look at them. Gorgeous. Question 7 is best book back. I'm going to assume this means the back cover of the book. Once again, I have one and an honourable mention for this one. There is an honourable mentions category later on, but there are no rules here. My quote-unquote honourable mention for this question is actually this copy that I have of The Picture of Dorian Gray. I particularly love the back of this because it looks exactly the same as the front, just with a little blurb. It's embossed, it's shiny. The flowers and the colour scheme on the flowers and how they contrast with the black is beautiful. The Picture of Dorian Gray is the only classic that I have actively wanted to read in my adult life. This is the honourable mention. The actual answer for this question is actually my other copy of The Little Prince, but I particularly love the back because it has this little fox and a quote from the book, and it's embossed in gold, and it's just gorgeous. Like, I think this fox is cute enough that I would genuinely consider getting it tattooed on my body somewhere. Next, question 8 is best chapter headers. This is the only question that I had a pre-prepared answer for. However, I've lent my copy of the book to someone else and I can't show you, but it is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. The chapter headers and the little images at the start of the chapters in Legends and Lattes are just little items and things from the book that relate to the chapter, but also the development of the cafe. It is genuinely something that enhanced my reading experience of the book. A lot of the time when I'm reading, I don't even realize that I've flipped through to the next chapter and I just keep reading, but I looked forward to getting to the next chapter in Legends and Lattes so that I could see what the next picture was for the chapter header. It drastically increased my enjoyment when I was reading the book, and I really hope that Travis continues that with the next book that he has written, Bookshelves and Bone Dust. Something. I'm excited. But I do have 2 others as well that I want to show you. And are we shocked at all to hear that it's The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill? Hi, if you don't know, my name is Michaela. I love moths, like a lot. So when I heard that there's a graphic novel about moths, I was sold. but each of the chapter headers for the Moth Keeper is a different patterned moth. To be honest, when I was reading it, I didn't realize that they were different moths each time until more towards the end of the book. I think this one is my favorite because it reminds me the most of a rosy maple moth, which if you don't know what a rosy maple moth, this is a rosy maple moth, and they're tiny and they're adorable and they look like they shouldn't be real. The last title header chapter headers that I want to talk about are actually from a picture book that I read when I was quite young, and it is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo. This is the story of a rabbit who is a doll. It goes through his lifetime as he gets passed from owner to owner in a rather harrowing adventure tale almost. But each of the chapter headers has a little image of Edward where he's at in his life at that point in time. And there are so many of them throughout the book. And so if you have not read it, you should. All right, next question. Question 9 is best illustrations. I feel like I really could pick any graphic novel that I have for this question, and realistically that's what I'm going to do. I would have said The Moth Keeper, but I have already used it for a different question, but just know that if I could have picked it for both, I would have. I personally really like the illustrations in the Lore Olympus series for a few different reasons, mostly because of the fact that it's just so colorful. Again, I love colors, but just the way that she uses colors throughout to demonstrate different emotions and to demonstrate different characters, but also just the way that she does facial expressions amongst these characters that are quite 2D. Like, they're not overly detailed, but they still convey such emotion in a way that can be really serious sometimes, but then also in a way that can be really not serious sometimes. For example, this face. Question 10 is the book with the best spine. Again, there's several books that I have already spoken about that I really enjoy the spines for. However, I think purely aesthetically, I really like the Nevernight Chronicles spines. This is a series by J. Kristoff, and I say I almost have all of them because I'm pretty sure the God's Grave copy that I have doesn't fit in with the other two because I feel like it was published differently. So my hunt for the God's Grave that actually matches the books that I have is on, but until then, I really like how these look on the shelf because they just stand out. They look different, but they're not out of place, if that makes sense. Question 11 is your favorite cover of a book. And like I said before, I really like a cover that's maximalist. It's got stuff all over it. There's just things going on, but also having it be nice colors. I have a few. Ava Evergreen Semi-Magical Witch. It's a middle grade about a witch who's trying to get all of her powers in time before her powers get taken away from her because she's too old. This one, and then also the sequel, have really, really lovely covers, but I just enjoy how much is happening and how much the colors are so lovely. Again, all of these really blend. On a similar vein, The Monk and the Robot series by Becky Chambers. Beautiful colors, lots of things happening and going on. I particularly really like A Sample of the Wild Builts cover. The sibling decks and the moss cap pictures are so cleanly illustrated, even though they're like not that big, like they're pretty tiny. And sort of related, but not quite, but still kind of in that maximalist odd vibe, is this cover edition of the Lies Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. Basically, they're like the really classic old-timey fantasy book covers, but all three of them have these really pastel sketched images. There's a lot going on. Can't really show you the third one because I may get demonetized by YouTube. And finally, question 12 is honorable mentions, which are just the other books that I think are beautiful that I want to tell you about. House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. It's spooky, it's creepy, but it's also really beautiful and well illustrated. Like, that's a good face. I usually hate faces on books, but this is a good face on a book. This edition of Coraline. I read this as a part of reading Ali's favorite books. When I read Ali's favorite books, I didn't love Coraline, but this is the best Coraline cover that I could find. I don't feel like I should even include That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon in this video, but I'm going to because the cover led me into a false sense of security with this book, and I do really enjoy the covers and the cover art and the way the cover feels. It's like that really weird, silky, lovely feeling. But the book was just so disappointing. And finally, my last honorable mention is this edition of The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. It's just so pretty. It's colorful, it's maximalist. It too has lovely end pages, but they make me feel a little bit weird, so I don't know if I like them because I think they're figs, but I'm not sure. But also the fact that the naked hardback is this beautiful lilac color that I really haven't seen on a book before. But those are my beautiful books. I love my beautiful books. I'm an aesthetically driven person. It's just nice to be surrounded by nice things sometimes, and I like books, so I like having nice books around me. So thank you for sticking around to hear about my beautifully aesthetically pleasing books that I have. Let me know if you have any other beautiful books that I can add to my list. I'm planning on doing like a bookshelf reorganization soon, so I need beautiful books to put in the new bookshelves. Stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a fantastic day or night at whatever time it is where you are in the world, and I will see you next week. Goodbye. All of the fonts and all the typography has its own. Are you right? What are you screeching at? I think when we're talking about typography I think when we're talking about typography Patty.